to toot your own horn and yet feel a little bit uncomfortable that maybe that's just making you egotistical? I'm Hannah Mason, and in today's Spark, we're going to be exploring how to use pride to your advantage. So I'm assuming that I'm like most people, and that the idea of putting myself out there and putting my work out there is pretty scary for me. And most of you know that I've now been the author of 2 different books. There's The Size of Your Dreams, which is awesome, the co-author together with Dave, my husband, and here's Hold That Thought, which I authored on my own. And you might be like, wow, Hannah, you published 2 books. It's really, really awesome. And there's a part of me that wants to say, yeah, good job, Hannah. But what most of you don't know is that I actually started writing almost a decade ago. I sat down and I started writing my first book. It was a children's book. And then I decided to take a break from that book, as all books need a little bit of a breather, and I started working on my second young adult novel, and then went back and edited each of those. And you know how published those books are? Yeah, you guessed it, not at all, because there's something really scary about putting myself totally out there, even to myself, about finishing that project, about putting it out into the public and maybe getting horrible reviews, or just feeling like it's just not a good enough work to put out into the public sphere. And so I kind of want to beat myself up all the time as an author. Like every time I look at these books, I'm thinking about those 2 books that are sitting in a drawer weeping because nobody's giving them any attention, and they're just kind of sucking their thumbs and holding on to their blankies. And the question is beating myself up really helping me all that much? So something I noticed in my family is that whenever we make a mistake or we say something a little bit awkward, I always remember hearing my siblings, my aunts, my uncles, everyone being like, oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, that's so ridiculous. I can't believe I did that. Man, how could I have made that such a mistake? And we're so quick to insult ourselves and to beat ourselves up and to say horrible things about ourselves. And there was this one time, I don't remember what I did, but I don't think it was very significant. It was just like a little something. And I was sitting next to my aunt and I said, wow, go me, I did this thing. And she looked at me funny and she was like, that sounds kind of cocky that you're talking that way. And I said to her, well, would you rather that I call myself stupid for having done it wrong? And it was the first time that it occurred to her that she'd been judging herself all the time, that she'd been throwing criticisms at herself all the time, except that they were only the negative kind and never the positive kind. And the thing is that when I beat myself up all the time, I don't feel good and I don't have energy, and it's incredibly draining. And it doesn't fuel me to become a better human being. It just makes me want to crawl in a hole and hide. But when I use the quality of pride to my advantage, that's when I'm throwing compliments on myself, that every time I have a success, I say, yay, go me, that was awesome. I've gotten in the habit of when I sit down to eat a meal that I made that I really enjoy, I let myself say, wow, this is really delicious. I'm really enjoying this meal. That for me is like the biggest success that I would even think to say such a thing. But for all of us, we can think, what are ways that we can fuel ourselves with pride? Because an overabundance of pride, when we get really cocky and we're obnoxious with each other, usually isn't pride at all. It's usually actually a lack of self-esteem where we feel so inadequate, we're trying to puff ourselves up in order to get attention from other people. But there's this other quality of pride, which is just patting yourself on the back when you deserve it. When you cooked a delicious meal and you eat it and you're like, wow, that was really enjoyable. You give yourself that sense of fulfillment that you put in so much effort into something and you see it come full circle into actually producing something of value, not just to society at large, but also to you. And the reality is that sometimes there are things that you produce that have value for society at large, but if you never recognize their value, you might never let in the feedback that society gives you. You have to be willing to be at least a little bit prideful. You have to be willing to give honor to the effort that you've made in the world, and also to the fact that most of the effort that you do involves so many other forces and so many other people that you often don't recognize. So in publishing, The Size of Your Dreams, for example, there were so many moments of serendipity, hikes that we went on where suddenly a cool idea popped in. And then there was our incredible son, R.A. Lev, who actually is sitting down right now as we speak, editing our next book, The Cast Machine, and he edited this book also. And he gave us incredible feedback. And there were other readers who gave us feedback. And there were so many teachers that we learned all of the incredible personal growth tools that we put into this book. And all of those things were a part of the picture. And we put all of that together to create this experience that if we don't let ourselves enjoy, it's difficult for us to see how our readers are enjoying it also. And so I don't have to look at these books and use them as an excuse to beat myself up for why I haven't published those other books. Something occurred to me that was so awesome recently, and that is that writing these books is giving me more and more training as a writer so that I eventually can get back to the children's books and really sit with them and really bask in them, and maybe even hire a really kick-butt editor who's going to be really expensive, but I'll have the financial resources that come from selling millions of copies of this thing to really help take my writing up to the next level. Because I want those children's books to be so incredibly beautiful and soulful and artistic. And it could just be that right now I'm not there as a writer. But I will be. I'm going to get there because I'm going to keep working on my writing. And the only way I'm going to have the fuel to do that is if once in a while I pat myself on the back, I boost myself up with a little bit of pride and say, "You go, girl." Which I'm saying right now because I just hit the point that I finished all of my edits on our next book on financial independence, The Cash Machine. And we are right now getting the book ready to be read by beta readers. So if you happen to be someone who's really interested in learning more about finance and financial independence, and you happen to love fiction, and you have an incredibly good eye for how to make writing that much better, and you can give us editorial feedback, and you're interested in being a beta reader, please contact me. You can contact me on Facebook or at my website, hanamason.com. And if you yourself are interested in trying to figure out how you can boost yourself up, how you can set goals for yourself and use pride and all these other qualities that you thought were really crappy but are actually really awesome to get yourself there, coaching can really help. I happen to have time in my schedule. You can book a free discovery session with me here on Facebook or at my website at hanamason.com. In the meantime, I wish you so many beautiful joys and an amazing day. Want to experience more clarity, vibrance, and joy in your life? Book a discovery session with Hana at hanamason.com/joy.